What's going on?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Looks like we finally get to do it.
We're doing it. Yeah,
we got lots of stuff to talk about on a fine fall morning.
Yeah, a little bit of a funky start to the week. As you guys can see, Fortune Crypto's not here today. He's out hunting still, so he'll be back next week. But nonetheless, we got plenty to dive into. So
I think the easiest way to go about it is to kind of follow the format of Ahead of the Game this week. I was just tracking stuff prior to the Thursday. I guess it's an AMA, but there was so much like meat in what he was talking about there. So it's just it'll be just good to use that as a point by point like outline for us. He started with an interview with Pablo Mera, who goes by Musashi in Discord. He is now the team lead for Common Ground World.
Yep.
And they talked about a lot, but most of the focus was in the sense of their awareness of the promises that have been made to the community, particularly Musashi, because he's come into the game late. He wasn't around for the majority of Townstar. He wasn't around for the play canvas version. He's been brought on since they've remade the whole game in Godot, and he's so there were tons of NFTs that came out long before that. There were tons of promises made, and he is addressing all of that in regards to the way that he's structuring what's going on, and he was frank about it. This isn't exactly easy. We have to every time they enable a single NFT in the game, it can just throw something else off. So they have to account for all of that, and it's a lot of work just to get that done. He was talking specifically about the Vox at one point, and the Vox, they're true NFTs. They're each of them is unique, and there are 17,000 of them, and they have to code something for each one of them to get it into the game. So it's kind of a boatload of upfront work to get that stuff done, and then to make sure that it stays functional and doesn't interfere with the code for just basic gameplay. Without taking too much time on that, what kinds of things did they say that were exciting and new? What did they give us to kind of chew on and anticipate? There is now a light paper, and they have done the read through at this point. The big announcement on Thursday was that they were going to tag that on to the town hall meeting Friday morning, and they did. The meeting went for about an hour initially. It talked about the dirt that was being distributed to the node owners and why it was being done the way it was being done. And then they brushed on what the nodes are going to do, but really wanted to save that for when Bitbender came on the show for the second half. And then he put up an image of the light paper behind himself on the screen and read it word for word, and then went through it in detail as well. There was a lot at the initial read through as I was watching. A lot of it seemed like stuff that we already knew, and I wasn't particularly gratified by it. But then as I dug back into it, I actually found out that there were some things in there that that did provide a lot more of a picture. I think a lot of us were expecting this light paper to be more like a tokenomics outline, and that might have been the source of any negativity in the community at the moment. But as we look through the actual the functional things that they were describing, there was quite a bit in there. The guild system was something that they had already talked about. If you own a node, you're going to essentially be a guild owner, and you're going to be able to invite people to your guild. Now, your nodes, they've expressed that you're going to be able to upgrade your nodes. Some of that can be done through merging multiple nodes, because we know that those of us who have had Townstar nodes since the beginning are now going to be getting multiple common ground world nodes based on how much we paid for the original Townstar node. So some of us paid 10,000, some of us paid like closer to 15,000. For every $1,000 you spent on your node, you're going to be getting one common ground world node. So people are going to have multiples, and they're going to be able to merge them to some degree to get a more upgraded node and guild structure that they're working with.
So is part of the reasoning for that because, like, as people are going to be getting more nodes, you have to pay for separate like VPSs or whatever for each individual node? Is that why they're kind of bringing up this idea of being able to merge them so people don't have to worry about the cost associated with running, 15 nodes rather than just one?
I'm sure that's something that a lot of people are thinking about. Like that's a good reason that they want to do it. Like that, just like the idea of tokenizing the founders nodes, there's an urge for decentralization. Even I think Bitbender said it's somewhere around 12 or 1,300 unique accounts that have Townstar nodes right now.
Okay.
That's big. I mean, that's a lot. But once those nodes are tokenized, if somebody has, like, I know somebody was saying that they're going to be receiving 80 of these common ground world nodes. They're not going to want to host 80 common ground world nodes on 80 different VPSs or 80 different like physical machines, however, whatever work you'd have to go to do that. And so they're likely to find some way to disperse those. Now, that didn't seem like a good enough thing for the community. There was arguments against that, but they hadn't, at that point when they first told us they were going to be giving us multiple nodes, they kind of reserved this idea of using them. Then I think it's probably going to be like a token burn that upon burning that token, you qualify for an upgraded metadata on your main node, and that'll help determine your guild size, the number of NFTs that you can put into what they call the lending library. And the lending library is something that's really that's kind of close to my heart, because the entire reason that I dug in so deep on any of these Gala games, but particularly Townstar, was the idea of being able to take the stuff that I have and distribute it to other people, let other people get in the game. One of the things that we've been shouting from the rooftops for years now is the idea of needing parity in the game, trying to make it so that people don't feel like they're up against impossible odds because of the people that have just fat wallets and are sitting on every possible ancient NFT. It doesn't create for a fun competitive environment.
And that's the case right now for so much of it, right? And we
really
talk
is.
about time and time again is the barriers to entry when it comes to blockchain games. Yeah, like why would you want to spend there's a huge detriment to the average player with the way that it's currently lined out.
And that's something that I see them making adjustments to. I don't want to get too far off topic with that, but that's a really, really good point. What can be compelling to keep the standard Web 2 player in a game where they can see the inequalities between their account and someone else's account, and it has nothing to do with the time spent. It has nothing to do with
skill.
Well, it
depending.
To be fair, most of the people that take the time to buy all these NFTs aren't just like fly-by-night players. They are actually the best players anyways, and they're seeing that they can leverage their skill by spending money on the NFTs in order to get the best rewards. That there is a real competition at the top levels. Even the top 10 is constantly it's a struggle to stay there. But that's a really limited competition. And it's reserved for the wealthy, essentially, because you have to own all that stuff in order to be able to use it. Well, these lending libraries, they're going to help mitigate that a bit. You're going to be able to have someone who might have a sizable chunk of stuff, but they're missing a couple key pieces. Well, they can join your guild, and you can just, if you have that item, you can pass that to them, and they get to use that, and they can be that much better for it. You know, they might have a far better result in the weekly tournament that way. So these are things that they had told us about in advance. We were anticipating some things that I think we were anticipating more about the numbers on that. How many? What's the market board going to look like? How many NFTs can I put in there? They didn't address that, and that's something that they said that there's going to be a roadmap that comes out, but they're also going to address the specific tokenomics largely through the launch itself. You're going to see it there. I'd imagine like right before the planner and launches, they're going to like give us a Medium post that like breaks down the numbers for us, but they don't want to put that out there because they want to get it right. And the other thing, that's the other thing about the soft token, you know, by using dirt, here's a soft token that they have an opportunity to get this right before anybody can find that exploit and start just destroying the economy the way that it happened with Townstar. We had the guys that were migrating their NFTs because there was nothing preventing them from earning the same amount of tokens on multiple different accounts. And it was just worth it for them to pay a single gas fee to move 12 of the same high earning token through, I don't know how many different accounts, maybe a dozen, 20, maybe more. It was really bad. And so all they were doing was minting that town coin and dumping it on the open market and just completely extracting the value from the ecosystem. They don't want to see that again. None of us do.
No.
And so the soft token launches are going to allow them to see a couple things. First of all, it's going to allow them to see any exploits. It's also going to allow them to see the effectiveness of their syncs, and that's a huge deal. If they have an idea for a sync and it goes over like a lead balloon, well, that's going to affect the entire economy the way that they have it built. That means they're going to need to come up with something that does draw the attention and does command the kind of interest level that would cause people to spend their dirt. And so if they get that wrong, they're going to need to make that right real fast, or else we would have like a devaluation of the token. If for as long as you don't have a use for the token, the only use is then to sell it to somebody else, right? And so they want to make sure that the things that they see as strong use cases for the token actually come across to the community that way too. So that they want to see people spending the token, and they want to get those numbers balanced first, and then they can actually mint that token onto a blockchain, and it's already flying. You know, it's not, you don't have to like get it off the ground. And you don't have a sense of it crashing real fast either, because someone figures something out that wrecks everything for everybody else.
Moneybum brought this up, and I don't think that's necessarily what we were saying, is that exploiters is what completely killed Towncoin. I think we were more just talking about the fact that because of the lapse in judgment, I guess, so to speak, when that process was created, people were able to take advantage of the system that was in place, and that contributed to the downfall. But it wasn't, no, I think, you know, the tokenomics, like he said here, you know, the tokenomics did have some faults kind of right off the bat, and I think
yeah, they did. Well, I was just talking about this in Gala Gold this morning. I said it plainly, like I forget what we were talking about. It had something to do with the Vox, you know, the way that the Vox were able to earn so many Towncoin. It's like I said, Vox didn't kill Towncoin. Not having any syncs is what killed Towncoin. There was nothing to spend it on except to buy something else that made you more Towncoin. It was by nature hyperinflationary, and so so that was that. And again, that's exactly what I'm talking about with the idea of measuring the effectiveness of those syncs with a soft token. They're going to be able to see if people are actually buying stuff with dirt, and if they're not, they got to figure something else out before they can make it available as a marketable resource on a cryptocurrency exchange. You know, you can't just expect people to hold on to it until you come up with a sync. That's what was going on with Towncoin. We saw, like, there were a lot of people that did, and they tried to implement some like speed bumps with Town Power and Gala Power and things like that. But when they weren't able to come up with those syncs fast enough, people just dumped their tokens, and it wrecked everything because they had just shifted over to a U.S. dollar pegged marketplace in the Gala store. And so you needed astronomical numbers of town coin to get these things that you used to be able to pay just a handful for.
Yeah.
So it was tragic, but it was a lesson learned, and I do see them putting a lot of effort into recovering that. That's exactly what I was talking about with Musashi's interview on ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's aware of the promises, and they're plotting forward. And they're in the midst of the economics right now, figuring it out. They've got the at least the strong backbone of the new game mode for Common Ground World in place. The rebrand it's parts of it are still in process, but it's largely there. You know, we can see on the image there that it's a Common Ground World town hall meeting. Like thankfully they didn't have to change too much of the art. They threw a cape on the farmer, and that was good enough. You know?
Exactly.
But they care about their promises. They're looking for the best ways to make good on them. I see that coming from them.
And I think this is a good opportunity for, the community to kind of sit back and be like, okay, this is sort of a reset. These are the new things that they're saying, and this is an opportunity to keep them accountable on what they're saying now that it's kind of back at the, that primary development stages. Okay, you've said these are the big things you want to work on. That's something we really need to keep an eye on over the next, coming months. See if they're actually making do on, it's one thing to say, yeah, we recognize that we made these promises in the past. Okay, here's a game plan as to how we're going to fix it. Or, this is something we want to fix down the road, and then nothing happens. So we'll need to keep our eye out and, make sure that they're, upholding their end of the bargain.
One of the big fears I see from the community is, we've taken a real step back towards Web 2 with all this soft token stuff. And so the money's already spent from the community side, and we're seeing it not immediately translating into something that we can assign a money value to. And that's the fears are warranted, like the concern is valid. But I want to kind of fall back on what I was saying earlier about making sure that it's right first. If it takes a Web 2 approach to just get the economy balanced and tuned, I'm of the camp of so be it. Let it happen that way. And again, exactly what you said. Let's make sure they're upholding their new promises. Like we need to be seeing progress towards a point where a token launch will be viable. Mm-hmm. We need to be seeing in-game syncs that because we'll be able to there's going to be a measure of tracking on even the soft currency dirt. We might not, it won't be blockchain
Explorer reading it
we won't have the same kind of transparency that a blockchain transaction or a blockchain system would put in place, but we will understand, we'll be able to see how much dirt is being earned, and we'll be able to pepper them with questions about how much is being spent. Like, is this working? And so to keep them accountable, we just have to be paying attention. We're not trying to say, oh, Gala's got it all fixed, we can ignore the situation again and just wait until number go up kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. No, we are going to be scrutinizing what's going on, but I want to be a part of the camp that says, like, let them cook, let them get this done, because I see a pathway towards it being something effective and hopefully successful too. Like, I think it can happen that way. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but The Walking Dead's doing a similar thing. They're launching this public development demo, and they're not making dead coin cryptocurrency. You're going to be able to earn it through the game along with scrap, and I think you can earn gold, but gold is definitely also like their gems currency, where you like that's a thing you can get on your credit card, or you can buy it with crypto. And they're going to work out the economics. They're going to make sure that there's enough viable saints in Walking Dead.
And even looking at, games as simple as something like EVIO, right, which is just browser-based first-person shooter game.
Mhm.
You log in, you play, you earn a database token called E, which
Yeah.
is just tracked on their database, and then once you accumulate, I think it's 1,000 or 5,000 E, you can trade that for like half a soul. And
Okay.
that's how the earning works. You just play until you get enough, and then you cash it in for soul, and it goes straight into your wallet. And all of that is generated through ad revenue and stuff like that, and sponsorships. That's where that player pool comes from. And it's like, that's not even that's so Web 2, but they're paying players with no problem every single day.
Yeah.
And it's been working for over a year. And it's like, so there's ways to do it kind of on that simple, more database route. Like, we can see it working, but that being said, it's not as dynamic. There's the simplicity isn't always necessarily a good thing. I think sometimes it can kind of take away from the experience if you're not able to do other things with the token, and if you're not able to see like those, certain people want to see all the blockchain tech associated with it, and some people are okay with, I don't care, this is held in my browser account, and when I want to cash it out, it's super easy to do
Yeah.
so.
I think right now, what everybody in Web3 gaming space wants to see is players.
Yeah.
We just want to see players come in. And if it means that they have to be able to play with zero friction and it just feels like Web2, then let's make that happen.
Yeah.
Like all
That's
the Web3 plans, those are gonna be like wonderful to speculate on. It's great to theory craft, but none of it works without a player base.
Yeah,
like
100%.
And that we ran into that with Spider Tanks, the matchmaking system. Over and over again, we were criticizing matchmaking the way that it's like you had low skill players being matched with top skilled players, and it always came back to the fact that there weren't enough people playing. But when people were playing, the matchmaking was going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Well, then we never had those millions of players with Spider Tanks, and so we never got to see whether or not they were right about that matchmaking being perfect. So anyway.
Moving on.
Yeah, let's. Actually, moving back, we're gonna. There's actually still a lot more to take a look at with Townstar or Common Ground World. They talked about the upgradable NFTs for a moment, and this is something that was actually a part of. I'm not saying that I'm not trying to take credit for it, but when Kamrar and I and some other people were brainstorming the idea for the Townstar paper back in the day, we had come up with a blueprint system, is what we were calling it, that you could assemble parts to eventually build an NFT in the game. They've done something similar to that, where you have upgradable NFTs, and in order to get the parts to upgrade those, you have to play the game. It actually comes through gameplay or node operation. Now, we don't know if they're also going to put them on the store like they did with the Spider Tanks components, which if they do, I'd kind of be bummed. It wouldn't wreck the thing, but it will make it possible for someone. They said specifically in the paper that someone with a complete free-to-play approach will be able to take their NFTs all the way up to the max level, which I believe is level 20.
Yeah,
So that's right there. That's huge incentive to just play the game. You can get in, you can take an NFT from its base level all the way up to level 20, and then your NFT has value. It's effective in game, and there are going to be people that if you don't want it, you can probably find someone to buy it from you because it's got use. So that's an exciting development.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They've also talked about some new voting mechanisms. So the node owners are going to have a type of governance vote. So things that impact node earnings, and additionally, like economy developments within the game. But specifically related to dirt emissions, I believe.
Okay.
They're going to be able to make proposals, and they're going to be able to vote on those proposals. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to be turning over all of the decision making to the node network at this point, but we should expect to see a much greater degree of governance for the node holders. Also within the game, as far as things like meta shifts or any kind of tweaking that needs to be done with game specific stuff, like the type of map that you start on, all of those things, they're going to be opening that up to a vote based on how much dirt you have spent within the ecosystem. I love this. It's so much better than a staking requirement. Like if you've been investing in the game, you use that word lightly, but if you've been spending in game and you have demonstrated that you are an active part of the community, and put your money where your mouth is, essentially, then you're going to be able to influence the direction of the game as far as what things are being built week to week. This week it's a jack-o'-lantern meta, and that makes sense for Halloween time coming up. But what do you do when there's not a holiday? What are we gonna build this week? What do we want to ramp the points up for this week? And what haven't we seen lately? What we get to vote on?
What haven't you looked at in a while? Like what's?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I like that too, and I've been actually thinking about that tokens spent thing quite a bit as an overall like incentivization. That might be something that we see iterations in other places eventually. I'm excited about the idea of that. We'll see if that gets anywhere. They're also going to be doing some interviews with community members, and I don't. And that's mostly just to kind of talk about the state of the game kind of stuff. So that I like the social media stuff. That definitely draws attention. But that's, I don't know. So some people like to be interviewed, some people don't.
No, I totally get it. We'll see too if that's like a live thing or if it's like a pre-recorded type spiel. Have they?
Yeah. You'd almost, just for the sake of the person being interviewed, you want to give them a chance to have that be pre-recorded, so not blindsided and feeling stupid about what they have to come up with. Or the other way around, either like the interviewer, like I can remember when Bitbender had Crypto Stash on, and Stash dropped that bomb on him about just like getting rid of Downstar. He had to roll with that. That's kind of crazy. So ahead of the game moved on. They had that really long interview. It was like pretty much half the show, and then he went on to game updates. Meow Match NFTs are now transferable on Gala Chain, so you can send them between accounts, and it says they're nearly complete for launching 2 weekly competitions. So it'll be similar to Dragon Strike, where you have NFT cats that are going to be able to earn victory points for you. So they're not going to call it victory points. It's a cat game. So, but you're going to be able to receive Gala from gameplay.
Nice. So how is that? Have they discussed, I guess, exactly how that process works, especially like if you're playing on iOS? Is it just so I'm assuming like when you go into Meow Match, it will kind of similar to like Poker Go Play or even Get Plucked. Like it will take you away from the App Store to log into your Gala account, so that way any distribution doesn't actually go through like Apple. Is that, I don't know if you know, because I know that was one of the, because Apple takes 30% of any in-game transaction type thing, but I don't know how that works on the earnings side, and so I wasn't sure if you knew anything about what the distribution of that looked like.
I wonder if that's why it was so hard for them to get these games on the store. I don't think Apple's getting
anything
like prize pool percentages.
Yeah, that, I guess, because that's more for purchases. Like I know, for example, on like Spotify, like if you have the Spotify app on your phone and you want to like purchase a subscription, it makes you go onto a computer to do it because they don't want Apple taking 30%, and that way they can make it cheaper or whatever. So
I mean, I know Dragon Strike has their store where you can buy different bundles, and I'm sure Apple takes their cut of that. I'm pretty sure that's what Apple's being satisfied with, and Android, I think the Samsung platform. So they do have an income from having the games on their network. Like there are lots of people that are still going to buy those packages in order to be able to. But sometimes sometimes they're geared towards like specific weekly events that you just need that extra push to be able to be in the top so that you get a chance to earn more.
Yep.
So as you're spending that money, Apple and Google are taking X% of it. But as far as the earnings for the competitions, you can, when you're playing these games, you have your own account. You can log into these games without even having a Gala account.
Okay.
And so once you have your own game account online, you can link it to your Gala account, and so they'll know who you are based on that linkage.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to read your wallet and see what NFTs you have, and then they'll be able to track the activity of those NFTs within the game, and then the rewards just come straight through the Gala platform. You know, they put into your treasure chest as a game reward. And with these, it's all been in Gala tokens at this point. It hasn't been any other coin.
Yep. Okay, cool. I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, and that goes for Poker Play and any of the mobile stuff at this point. They're all doing something that you play the game, and if you want to, you can enable the earnings, and when you do, they just drop it right into your account. There, dude, I didn't know we were going to see that today.
I was like, I got to throw it in once for Forge.
Echoes of Empire, this is something he just kind of let this out on the sly. He said that it's going to have another play test. So they're going to run another play test before actually launching. And now we know that some of the delay is due to Gala Chain integration of all these other games that are coming out. So all of the NFTs from the games need to be integrated with Gala Chain. All of the processes need to be online. Now, because Walking Dead isn't going live with any blockchain interaction for their currencies, that's not going to be as heavy of a workload. But Legacy is a full launch here, and that's coming out tomorrow. So there's a lot of work in testing and making sure that things flow the way they're supposed to. That caused Echoes to be uprooted from their October 3rd launch date that they established back earlier in the year. But it looks like there's enough being sandwiched between now and their launch that they're going to run another play test. They haven't announced when that's going to come out, but we can look forward to that. And honestly, I think that's going to be really good because there's so many game features that they hadn't included in the last play test, and I really hope that they slow down the mining rate for this one. That last play test had me absolutely bleeding from my eyes trying to stay awake and compete.
Oh yeah.
Another thing that he brought up, the Blue Realm token holders are now eligible to be a part of these art events where they just kind of feature certain games and the art in them. He says that they really need to get one of those together for Echoes of Empire because the art for Echoes is very well done. Mm-hmm. It's some of it's really intense, and so they're going to be setting up a time to do a Blue Realm event for the Echoes of Empire team.
Nice.
Get Plucked finally made it to Android. We were kind of waiting, it was a week and a half after iOS okayed it. They're letting Android players get used to the game. They didn't want to give too much of an unfair advantage to Apple people, but there's going to be 2 weeks of leaderboard tournaments where they give $5,000 worth of Gala tokens to the top pluckers,
nice.
Meaning the number of hops that you can get in the game.
Yep.
Consecutive without dying. There's going to be 2 weeks with Gala prizes. Ultimately, the point was not to turn this into something that was giving Gala tokens every week, but you are going to be able to earn what's called feathers, which is their in-game soft token. Yeah, and the feathers are going to allow you eventually to unlock other chickens, upgrade chickens. There's a bunch of different ideas that they have for that, but you can get feathers just by being consistent. As as you get a cumulative number of hops, even if you die after like a short time, that number is stored, and so you have the total amount of progress that you've made in the game is tracked, and you can open eggs once you get to certain thresholds, and those eggs will give you feathers, and then you're going to be able to get feathers just from the weekly leaderboard as well, and those feathers will be they'll just enable you to get either new features for chickens you already have or even get new chickens.
Cool.
So but again, there's going to be 2 weeks where you can actually like get Gala tokens out of it, so so sharpen your skills, guys.
Get plucked.
Save those chickens. Legacy, again, I said it earlier that there's going to be the full launch tomorrow. They haven't given us a time yet, but it's going to be launching for everybody. Now, yesterday they allowed landowners to get into the game just barely, and it was enough to just set up their holdings so that they would make the keys available to players that didn't own lands. And again, that's a guild thing. So you're able to set up your guild. There is a Black Harp guild that has 3 keys available. So Forged in Crypto attendees, people watching the show, if you want to get in and play Legacy, there's a home for you. And
reach out.
Black Harp guild,
yeah. Reach out in our Discord. Reach out to us on Twitter. Yeah, we'd love to get, if some people are wanting to get in, we'd love to get them in.
I know I'll be working on that as well as the primary, and so we're going to be building that up so that there's more keys available as fast as possible as well. But it starts with 3 keys for it's a rare deed, so we'll be trying to get as many keys as possible available to as many people as possible soon enough. So again, that's gonna start tomorrow. They briefly explain their concept for earnings. Legacy tickets are going to work similar to victory points in spider tanks and in like the leaderboard for Dragon Strike and things like that. You're going to get a fractionalized distribution of Gala tokens based on how many victory points you're able to, or I'm sorry, how many legacy tickets you're able to earn from the competitions. So the competition structure is one of those things. They run 3 different competitions. One of them is actually like a community voted competition where it's like people vote on the best one, and you have to have some measure of you have to be doing a certain amount of work in game to be able to even like vote.
Got it.
So it'll be interesting to see how people find their ways to prop themselves up for the community vote one. I'm sure that's going to be exciting. The other ones are just how many products can you make versus or how much money can you make during the period of time. So at this point they've outlined 3 different types of competitions, and those are every hour. So around the clock you have an opportunity to compete for legacy tickets, which will help you receive Gala tokens at the end of the day. The next thing he moved on to was spider tanks. He was talking about last week's spider tank stream. Now there was one yesterday. We'll address that in a future version of the Gala Gazette. But last week's stream was episode 10, and they had Procent on there. There's a Russian-speaking. They have a spider tank guild. Yeah, that's Sinister and Chair Bandit right there with the Procent guys. Their group apparently did phenomenally in May Mayhem. They took like the top 3 or 4 spots. Now a lot of that's grinding. You know, I was speaking with Classy just recently of Classy Games, and he's a competitor, man. He is. Just watching that guy play is a treat. And there's a bunch of players that are really, really good at this game, but you don't have to be really, really good to do well in spider tanks. You can be pretty good and just have a mindset of I'm not going to stop playing this game.
Yeah.
So there's they've definitely got some hardcore grinders at ProCent.
Nice.
And they were on for the show to play and chat about things. ProCent isn't just a spider tanks guild. They also they build themselves as a crypto education platform. So they're drawing people to anything that could be enjoyably competitive that's
Nice.
got a Web3 focus. They also, Spider Tanks also mentioned, the group also mentioned that they're partnering with the owned game league to some degree, but that Spider Tanks itself is going to be in this tournament that's coming up in November. It's $1 million tournament. Like, it's not just Spider Tanks. I mean, I saw that they're going to have tournaments with Fortnite, I think Dota. Yeah, if you scroll down just a little bit, you get a chance to see Metalcore. Yeah, that was the other one.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah. Metalcore's a fun one.
Yeah, so there's going to be it's going to be Web 2 and Web 3 games, and they're going to have different leaderboards and quests and things like that you can gain points in the overall tournament structure that they have, and ultimately the top places are going to share in a part of that $1 million prize pool.
That's
so this
awesome.
is a huge. Like, yeah, it's just a game ecosystem all across the board. It's kind of a celebration, an opportunity for people to get in and get something for being good.
That's awesome.
And again, it does also seem like there's going to be a grind element to it. I mean, if you're a gamer, it's totally worth checking this out, because there's a real opportunity for anyone that wants to play these games.
Yeah, that's super cool.
But Spider Tanks is going to be a part of it, and that should bring some attention. And so we hope that as that attention gets brought, that things are laid out to keep the attention. I mentioned that I was talking with Classy, and most of what we talked about was Spider Tanks. Let's get the focus back on just playing the game. Mm-hmm. Let's if we have to, as a third party or outside party, just set up tournaments the way that Rostakip is doing it on his NFT Guilds platform. These guys own Game League, just pulling the game in. It's a fun scrimmage. It is a fun game. If the rest of the interface isn't developed well, so what? Let's use the game. Let's make that fun. Let's incorporate it into what we're doing, and see if we can at least sustain the interest level long enough for Gala and Game Media to get things into place.
100%.
That we don't have to have that weight on our backs anymore. It shouldn't be this way. We shouldn't have to do this work.
Yep.
But it's where we're at right now. And since we spent money on this stuff. Mm-hmm. We might as well make something happen with it. Mm-hmm. That's my spin. So again, that owned Game League tournament is going to be in mid-November, and so check out that site if you want to get updates for that.
Yeah.
This was another sly one. There's an unannounced tentative date for the release of Eternal Paradox. Like, in-house they have a date. They didn't tell us yet, so we don't know when that is, but it is established. We're also supposed to look out for updates on in-game lore.
Okay.
As you're playing through as we were playing through the tests earlier, you got a chance to see some of that just through gameplay, but the story wasn't entirely nailed down just from stepping through. So there's a lot of characters that you can tell they've got a backstory, and you got to.
Yep.
They're going to be spinning that story a little bit more clearly.
Titan asks, and I wanted to throw this at you, Family Man, to see what you think. I would assume it's kind of everything with the Common Ground worlds, and in general, it seems like there's been a lot of new information there.
You're talking about the best nugget thing? Yeah. I really like what they're doing there, if they do it. Like, if they continue to make the kind of progress that they're talking about. If we can see step-by-step improvement, that is a really big deal, because Because I would say that the more people are exposed to Townstar than any of these other games. I think that's a fair statement. I could be wrong, but it seems like Townstar is the one that brought the most people in. Townstar is the one that more people spent the most money on, and so by doing that right, they're gonna be able to kind of rally the community sentiment.
Yeah.
But honestly, the Walking Dead stuff, there's a bunch of reasons that the Walking Dead soft launch here is a good thing. Walking Dead is in house, so if there is something that isn't working, they don't have anyone else that they have to deal with in order to get it fixed. So, Cool was in Gala Gold and just talking about some of these other zombie games that are out there. I don't know them by name. I don't play them, but some of them have like 100 million plus downloads.
Oh yeah.
So there's a real like worldwide interest in
People love
zombie survival games. So as a genre, it's already like in a great spot. Again, launching in a way that you're able to keep your hero experience, you're able to keep your renown, and you're able to keep your tokens that you earn, but they're all going to be database stored until a later date. You know, whatever it is, they have some metrics that they're trying to achieve before they feel like they can launch that as a cryptocurrency. But the fact that you can be playing and you can be earning and you can be using those tokens and they can be reading whether or not their syncs are effective. You know,
Yeah.
like I think that's going to be a really huge opportunity for Gala, because again, like they are completely in the driver's seat with that one. And so one of the things that keeps coming back to us, you know, the Champions Arena launched and there was a whole lot of excitement about it, and the gameplay is fun, and then you hit a wall as far as like your actual progress. And then all of a sudden we saw exploits and bugs and things like that. And Gala is not one universe, you know, like, and Gala can't make them do anything. That's I'm not trying to side with one or the other, but if nothing else, they at least have that they can say, well, now we're going to see a game that's completely in their laps, something that does have great potential, something that they do have full control over, and it doesn't have any kind of past history in regards to NFT burden that they have to account for. Yep. So this isn't Townstar, this isn't Spider Tanks. Though we can all recognize that the tokenomics for those two games just didn't work. This isn't Champions Arena. This isn't anything else made by somebody else. This is all Gala, and it's fresh. What have they learned, I guess, is what we're going to see. Is this is this going to work? And so I'm really excited about that launch on November 8th.
That'll be exciting.
But I also saw the agreement about Common Ground World. Yeah, if they can make Common Ground World right, that's a big deal. Like there's a lot of people that are going to they'll have their faith restored a bit if they can deliver on that.
Well, we're kind of getting to that point where we should wrap it up. Is there a couple of quick things we want to hit real quick before we hop off, and then anything we didn't really cover we can talk about more in the article that we'll put out today?
Yeah, Dragon Strike's doing some Halloween stuff. They have a Monster Bash Impossible Dungeon. My son, my 10-year-old, finished it today. He's like, "Dad, we got it all done."
Nice.
So he was really excited about that. Bitbender dropped that the website is going to be getting an overhaul, and that they have gotten a new credit card provider. They're still in the test phase with that, but they do have someone now. So credit card transactions on site should be forthcoming.
Nice.
Rep also on target for its 90 days post announcement release. And Neil Herron was in Gold Chat the other day, just kind of commenting on things. So it's nice to see that he's actively involved with the community and not just
that's great.
Some of these when they go dark, it just gets really, really bad from community sentiment side. Warren Marshall set up a Patreon for Town Crush. So if anyone wants to support him in him building that game, there's a simple way to do it now. You can just log in and click the support button.
Cool.
But he's been really neat with the way that he does his updates. He sets himself a week's worth of tasks. He's like, I got to get this done this week. And he tells us what he's doing. And then at the end of the week, he tells us whether or not he got it done. and if he didn't, it's because of this and that and this. Or if he does, he's like, yeah, I got that done and I moved on. And
it's almost like it's simple to keep people in the loop.
Well, yeah, and granted, him being a one-man army with that's nice. He does have that luxury. It would be really cool to see that from some of these other things. Miranda's lights out, man. They are unbelievable with the way they keep the community updated.
Oh yeah, and there's a reason it's the biggest. It's going to be the biggest game, right?
Yeah. Well, and the fever pitch from just the developers is amazing. Like these guys seem to be really enjoying this work. They're playing with tech that is exciting to them, and they're having a good time with it. And they want and you can see that because that's the kind of attitude that they come to the community when they're sharing this stuff with. It's like, we just did this. I can't believe it. This guy just accomplished this. He's a wizard. There's all sorts of like really exciting things happening for them. So they're
it's good to hear.
Yeah, I feel like they're just doing it absolutely right.
It's great to hear.
I guess the last thing that I would mention is that Gingerbread Man, who has more or less, he's not the only one involved in the Fuzzles project at this point, but he is the primary developer for the app. He posted these screenshots in both the Fuzzle Prime Discord and in the Gala Discord, and these are just again, it's just a screenshot, but this kind of gives you a clue of the direction that he's taking these things. That there's going to be a sense of governance within Fuzzles, but that largely it's an AI assistant. It's something that's like a way to and
it's
check
fun.
your calendar and fun interaction. And then they also have some game ideas and things like that. Nothing crazy over the top, but that they some kind of interactive, fun, simple games and things like that. So, it was really good to see that, and that's an amazing story right there. I can't wait to see the completed product, but then to be able to kind of review what happened, where it came from, and what
how the community took it over.
Absolutely an amazing story.
That's what the Web3 community can do, and it's cool to see it, potentially come into fruition in a way like this. So that was last week and a little bit more. In Gala, we did. There was a lot to talk about with Townstar. That's or Common Ground World. Common Ground World. It's like Twitter X calling HBO Max now. Yeah. It's just everyone's rebranding. It's a fad. So
we'll be looking forward to the updates on all these things, and I'd imagine that next week's episode is going to talk a lot about Legacy because we're gonna see the ins and outs of that game as it launches tomorrow.
It'll be exciting.
Yeah, agreed.
So, well, all right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, all you who did, and stay on the lookout for the article that will get posted later this afternoon.
Thanks, everybody.
Take it easy, guys.
See ya.